Yeah, I wish she would. She loves this kind of thing. She's actually an ASL sign language interpreter.
I speak ASL. Well, I did in college.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I learned ASL for 2 years, but I'm not very good at it.
Well, you're better
I've
than I am.
forgotten. Was it all of my ASL? But I love sign language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're pretty
To be
awesome.
I think it's interpreter. To be
Yeah.
an interpreter, yeah, you have to really, yeah, that's amazing.
Well, both my in-laws are deaf. Um,
Oh, so she was born.
she was born basically into it. She was the oldest, her and her sister, and whenever her dad needed something like go to the auto parts store or whatever, he'd take Annie, my wife, Annie.
Yeah.
So she's just and she just carried it in, and she has a genuine love and passion for it, and she's just an advocate. And it's more to her, it's not a job. I mean, she just loves to do it. But like when my mother-in-law, who visits quite frequently, when they're together, it's like I don't even know what's going on. I'm kind of like at the kindergarten level, but they are like master class.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
like slow,
yeah,
slow, slow, slow. Yeah, I well, it's interesting because when I studied, I got to learn a lot about like deaf culture and to be born. I think it's hearing. I don't remember anymore, but to be born hearing into the deaf world is sometimes considered. At least this is what I was taught. That was like it's almost heartbreaking for the parents because they live in their own sort of like isolated world. It's really isolating to be deaf. Like I mean, you know all of this
yeah.
probably, but like to be hearing impaired is harder than even being visually impaired because you can't, you just, it's so isolating. And so it's really important for the rest of the world to kind of like learn sign because they can't learn how to hear. Although I guess now there's so many great things that are helping people with their hearing.
Yeah, and her and we have a my mother-in-law have and I have a really close bond because even not knowing the language, I would always make eye contact with her and make her feel included. She can read lips. She wasn't born deaf. She had like scarlet fever. My,
Oh,
and my father-in-law was actually born deaf, but she can read lips and hear a little bit. So I kind of go a little slow. Hey, I'm going to the store. Would you like to go? Do you need anything? And I've been really good about that, which has kind of spoiled me. But also, my wife's like, hey, every day we're learning something new. Like thank you and please, and all kind of.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was never like fluent, but I was conversationally able to get by. And um, I have like a couple jokes that I like El Paso, and
Yeah,
then obviously that's bullshit, right?
yeah.
Um, and then I used to like volunteer. Like we were required in class to get a certain number of hours, and so I would hang out in the deaf community and made friends. It was really neat. And then I met this woman, and she was lovely, and we became like fast friends. And we were hanging out a lot, and like it was nice. And then she invited me. I was in Texas State in San Marcos when I went to college. So she invited me to come up and meet her in Austin and see the bats. There's this like bats that fly out from under this bridge, thousands of them. And so it's like beautiful. It's at sunset. And we're sitting there watching the bats, and I'm hanging out with her, and we're on this like blanket. And it hit me. I was like, oh, we've been dating. So my communication skills were not up to
Yeah.
and so I got awkward. I was like, oh yeah, she hadn't made any kind of move or anything, but we had been going on dates. And I was like,
Awesome.
I didn't realize. I guess my joke and my act, it's a little dirty, but I was like, I didn't know the sign for, you know.
Yeah, I have a bit that's been crushing. I've been back in comedy for 8 months now and loving it. From yeah, that hiatus you and I did Zanies 1,000 years ago, and you were so nice to all of us, and I always appreciated that. Considering it was like a comedy showcase, and then I've always admired you since then. Sorry, I'm going on a rant here, but my bit is about I like to pass gas fart in front of her to see if she notices. Um, and then I don't know how it came to my head, but at the end of it, I tail off into she has a job at Only Hands, instead of Only. So it's
That's
great.
like,
Yeah, she is the sweetest lady, but like I said, it's you never realize it until it's in your wheelhouse. You know how important it is. Like I find myself now every time she's on the way because she visits pretty much every weekend. You know, making sure closed captions on and all that good stuff. And so, but yeah, she's sweeter than you. Who. But anyway, okay, we got off on that. But that's really awesome you do that. My wife will love to know that, and I can't wait to share it with her. And my wife crochets. She is a crochet fanatic. So the next thing she's
Oh.
going to say is, "Tell her I'll crochet or something." So be thinking about that. I mean, she's a whiz at it.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's awesome. I'm not going to say no, because
Yeah.
people who are good at that can make some. I mean, she works with her hands, and then she's crocheting all the time.
She
Her
does.
hands
And let me
must
tell
never
you,
stop moving.
a lot of people, and I don't bring it up a lot, but she's so arm strong and shoulders and everything from all this. She has a death grip. I had her get mad at me one time and grab my shoulder, and I felt like the liquid start to separate from the bone. What did you say? I'm like,
Oh, there's so many dirty jokes we could do right
I
now.
know we could just live with it. But
Yeah.
back to topic. This awesome film, which I'm so excited to see about Ralphie May, come what may. And, we'll re-mention again. You're his widow, and got to see kind of a documentary version of it at the Nashville Film Festival. And first of all, kudos for being brave enough to share all this stuff because this is an inside look at a comedian that the world absolutely loved, but he never really displayed what was going on everywhere. So just
Yeah, but he did. He did display it because he left all this footage. Like Rafi left his story behind.
yeah.
So I don't think, and he says in the footage adamantly, tell my story, be honest, good or bad. I don't give a shit. He literally said those words, and I believe he meant it because I think he knew that his story was meant to be told.
Mhm.
So, and I don't actually think he shied away from his problems publicly either. Maybe on stage he was always funny, but off stage he let people know what was going on because there's interview after interview of him on radio stations and TV appearances where he's pretty darn frank about some of the things he was dealing with at the time.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I don't feel like I'm going around and sharing a story that he isn't fully open with. There might be one or two things that he would be like, well, maybe there's a few things that I bet he's not around to tell me which pieces of content not to use, but he put it out there. So I think it's my job um, as a documentarian to share his stories as best as I can.
Yeah, what I
So
should
yeah,
what I should have said, I guess, was being a fan. The only thing I knew as a part of his life was the comedy and stuff. He made little
yeah.
jokes, but I didn't really get to see the inside until the first version of this, and then what's coming out now. It's probably what I should
Well,
have.
that screening was wonderful in
Yeah,
Nashville. Like the film itself is wonderful. Like that, it had it. What I found was after it screened in Nashville and then it screened in LA and then it went to Atlanta. I never went to the Atlanta screening. Um, it I tried for 19 months to get it out, and I got reactions from very honest reactions about the story arc. If you remember, it tells a very short window of him, and then it really just declines. And at the end, you kind of leave feeling like you didn't get a good lesson or walk away with anything other than, man, that was a really sad story. It was also almost entirely archival footage that was poorly acquired. So if you remember, it was a lot of just um, poorly acquired. That's it. It was just poorly acquired footage that told the story because it was amazing footage that you just don't capture of somebody. But it was a QC nightmare, meaning like any place that was going to stream it was going to require months of work to try and get the footage into a space that it could be streaming, and money that just wasn't worth pouring into the project at that point. And for the people anybody who was willing to stream it wasn't going to make back. As is, I probably won't make back what I put into this, but at least um, now it has a lot of very high end footage, a ton of additional archival footage that was properly acquired, as well as a lot of the footage that you did see that tells the story. So it's an interesting merger between it being a proper biopic of an artist that everyone loved, and the story of somebody who had everything and took it for granted in some ways, or the disease he had put him in a position that he wasn't able to really live in his own success.
Yeah, it was very eye opening. I still remember it to this day, and certain things. And like I said, I'm not going to tell it in case they're in the movie, but things that resonated with me until this day. Because even, I've always been a heavy set guy, and for about 6 months now, I've been taking the shots of Manjaro, which has been helping me significantly. I was at 315 now. I'm in the low 260s,
Mm.
mainly because blood sugar issues and everything. As I'm getting older, I'm 43 now. And I was wondering, do you think something like that would have worked for him? Would he would take into something like that if that was available for Ralphie?
Oh yeah, I mean, if Ralphie was alive today, he would have been like an immediate candidate for those types of medications. Um, and people with diabetes and things like that absolutely should be taking those medications. Although, look, you we're in a we're in a lucky time where we have abundance. We're in an unlucky time because we're bombarded with sugar, salt, and fat. And those substances are highly addictive, and your brain receives a reward when you eat those foods. And it's hard to stop. We also live in a world where we're animals and we're supposed to forage for food. But how we forage for food now is we sit on the couch and walk 20 feet to the fridge, and it's full of everything that you could ever want, or go down a grocery store aisle and it's full of everything. So we're given a really big challenge. So to have to take a drug or have a surgery, which Rafi had two stomach surgeries, and when we embarked on the documentary, it was meant to be a third surgery, and I told him, dude, you could just have like duct tape over your mouth, quit cutting up your stomach. But it's food addiction is real. It's a big deal, and people just don't talk about it enough. It's not profitable to talk about it. What's profitable is selling Lay's potato chips or soda can, pop, and those things are highly addictive.
Yeah. And another thing is you're talking about just going to the grocery store, and especially now's time, you can sit on the chair and just get a hold of DoorDash.
Yeah.
Do like contactless. I mean, they could sit at the door. You don't even have to talk to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have I think it's probably an embarrassing thing to be 500 pounds and sit in the fast food line even and have to like grab your food from somebody. I know that was something that Ralphie did all the time. And I'm sure having, all you could have delivered was pizzas at one time, and that's not enough. But yeah, you're totally right. You can have anything handed off to you and not even, and it's contactless. Yeah,
You
it's
know,
a wild thing.
um, and that brings me up to my next question. Your whole life, and which is you don't ever age. You look the same every time I see you.
Oh, that's not
Yeah.
true. I've
Well,
aged. I see it every time I watch this film. I can, thank you. That's
really?
really nice.
Well, what I wanted to lead into is that you have been a physically fit woman in great shape most of your life, or since I've interacted with you. What was the dynamic of that being with a man that loved food that much and was constantly eating? Because obviously you was eating moderate portions. Like, how was that navigating life that way?
I think being with Ralphie messed me up a little bit the other direction. Um, I became really well read on food and food science and exercise because I always wanted to help him. And so I thought the more information I have, the better. And I feel better when I'm exercising. It helps me with my mental health. So actually, this morning I woke up before my children. I wake up before my whole household, and I lift heavy weight now. Um, that's where I am in my life. I just know that I continue to research, and like if they say women and my age group, especially as people age, you're supposed to put on as much muscle as you can because it will support you as you get older because our muscles just decline, like constantly declining. Um, so I do I think I became passionate about it as a result of being with Rafi. I was always exercising, but I was never uh, that well researched on it. It wasn't like a passion of mine, but yeah, I think I wanted to save his life.
Sure. And speaking of the kids, obviously they're older now, and I was looking on your Instagram. Your son's playing drums, which is as a drummer, that's awesome. And he shouted out to his mom. I saw that. I love that. He remember that. How are they navigating all this? Like, are their memories vague of Ralphie, or do they remember a lot, or how do they feel about all this that's going on now that they're older?
Um, so I'm really glad that this project is coming out now and not when the original one was slated to, because they are old enough now to kind of understand and have their own identities. Like you said, August, my son, he's into drumming, he's into water polo. He has a somewhat formed personality. Like he doesn't know what he wants to do in his life, but he's him. Whereas when they're little, getting an exposure, they look completely different than the little humans that are in that film. Same thing for my daughter. She's 18.
Wow.
And I'm so busy right now releasing this film, and we're choosing colleges, and I'm just like, oh my god, we got so much to do. But she wants to be an artist, and she is. She's every bit an artist, and so we're just figuring that out now. And I mean, being in a documentary is weird, but they've known they were going to be in it ever since they were little, and we were shooting the footage, and so they've grown up in this sort of weird life. Memories of Ralphie, that's a tricky one. April has some memories. August was very young when his father got ill. And so he, this is really sad, but he didn't, I took him to, both my kids went to grief camps. That is this amazing organization. If anybody is in the unfortunate situation of having, knowing somebody who has a child who's lost a parent or sibling, God forbid, um, there's this organization called Camp Aaron, and they can go to 2 years. They can go for a 2 night sleepaway with other kids who are grieving, and they learn how to deal with that grief. And I was fortunate enough to find Camp Aaron, and August and April both went there. April also joined an organization called Our House Grief Support, which they do a group therapy. And at the time, they said, "Look, we're not going to admit August to the group because." They felt like he didn't have enough positive memories. So when he's sitting there and other kids are recalling things, it might be painful for him because he doesn't have those connections. And that was really sad. Um, but a positive thing that came out of that is April, for the last couple of years, has been the team leader for a group of kids. So she goes every 2 weeks to our house, volunteers with little kids. I don't know how she does it. I mean, I couldn't do it. It's these kids are dealing with she comes out of grief group and tells me what some of the kids are dealing with, and I cry. And I'm just like, she sits there with them, and she did a speech to their fundraiser, and then we're also going. I think it's in like 2 weeks. We do their walk every year. It's just a really special little organization. So there, yeah, if you're in LA. In 2 weeks, go to the Our House Grief Support website, and they do a walk, and you can walk in the memory of somebody that you loved or
Or
love, and
even
it's no longer with us.
even donate. I'm sure we'll be on board to donate as soon as I tell my wife.
It's pretty sweet. Camp Aaron was just, I mean, the people who do these things are just like saints. I mean, anyways, so,
Well, leading into that, and one thing I always admired about you, my wife, we've been married 5 years, round two for both of us, obviously. But for 12, she was a single mom, two kids. And
oh,
you remind me of a lot of that in the sense that you never talk about how this affected me. It's always everybody else. Um,
oh.
and I respect because I had a single mom. My wife's a single mom. I'm pro lady. And you are a very strong woman, and you never really say it's always this outward. How did you navigate it? Because it seems like you pretty much had two kids by yourself. I mean, can we talk about that? We don't have to go that personal. I was
Sure.
about a story.
It's funny. If I talk about me, then I'd probably want to cry.
I don't want you. I can't give you the tissue.
Oh, um, honestly, I thought I when Rafi got ill, I really was a single mom, but we had some financial ability to bring help at times. So I was able to have for 1 year, I had this like amazing woman help me. She basically became like my parenting partner. This was while Ralphie was here, and he was earning good money, and Hannah moved in with us, but not full time. Like she had her own place, but she traveled with me on the road with the kids, and she was a child life specialist, meaning she would go to the hospital And when kids were dealing with trauma, she could distract them. And she was so brilliant. I learned so many parenting things, like skills on how to help kids through her. So for 1 year, I had like this amazing parenting partner. Like, again, she was hired and help. But she became more of a part of our family and a friend. And I love her. She's an amazing woman. Um, but there was plenty of time where I didn't have help and I just did it on my own. And then when Ralphie and when the separation happened and then when his death happened, I was like, I'm going to be able to, I'll do it myself. I'll get through this on my own. But I have to be honest with you. I, I think I would have failed completely on my own. In fact, I know I would have. I met another man, my current boyfriend, um, quite a few years ago now. And, he's been really, really good for helping because I'm not very good at discipline, and they respect him. They don't respect me. Let's just put it that way. Like they love me, and they are the best kids ever. But when it came to like, hey, go to your room, and they're like, no. I'm like, but I said go to your room, and they're like, but no. So when Sean steps in, he's like, no, you better go to your room. They're like, yes, yes, sir. I'm like, what the
Yeah, I
heck?
get that. And it does take a village, and she had help. I should have said. I just meant navigating it, with two soul children. Same thing with
No,
her.
I would have had to have, at the time when Ralphie passed away, I had figured I would move to be closer to my parents to give sort of, to have that support system that I needed. But fortunately, as much as I love my parents, I didn't want to move to Florida and I was able to stay in LA and it's okay. But sorry, I kind of cut you off there.
Is that where you're from originally, or they've retired
They
now?
retired. They
Okay,
retired there. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that's what happened with Annie and I as well. Just a heart of gold, but not a good disciplinary. And we had the same thing. Her daughter was already grown and kind of doing her own thing, but her son Gunner, who we had him 15 on. It was rough, the transition, because he went from a mom to where she was working constantly, so he was kind of like literally the man of the house at 14. To,
Hmm.
hey, I understand you have a point five in this class. Why aren't you doing your homework? So it took a bit of an adjustment.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Oh, sorry, my computer's like shifting around. I have this like mount and it's kind of, I'm hoping it's not falling.
all good.
So that's why I keep moving sorry about that.
That's all right.
Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
Zoom is always tricky.
It is.
No, look, I mean, when August lost his dad, he was probably, I think he was like, oh gosh, he was little. Um, let's see, he was like 7. I think he was around 7 years old. And it was terrifying because all of a sudden in his little mind, he was the man of the house. He needed to protect. And I felt that in him. It was a really scary thing for him. And, and he did not need that. He needed to still be a baby.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, having another man come in and give that for him, or just another person that can be a strong example. And I did have male friends come by and throw a ball with him. Look, I was awarded most feminine player on my softball team because I couldn't catch a ball. That was back when it was okay to like give awards like that.
Yeah.
So August craved, I want to throw a ball. I want to play swords. And I mean, I just I can't throw a ball. I throw the frisbee for the dog and I like it goes in the wrong direction. So like it was really nice that I had some friends that would come over and do these things and for him and with him, but it wasn't enough. It's not the same. So you went in and you helped your stepson.
It's the
I guess it's stepson, right?
Well, I claim him now, but yeah, it was stepson. But it's kind of like Nanny McPhee. You go in there and at first it's that transition, but it's a structure everybody needed. I needed it. Luckily for me, it was a football coach in middle school who followed us through high school. Just loved you, but would just tell you the what for. And I kind of used that policy with him. And now he's a tradesman. He's actually in Florida. He does plumbing and HVAC. And he's doing really well for himself. I mean, just took to it and don't have to worry about him. I mean, he's come a long way, but at the end, of course, anybody's going to tussle with it, that big of a change, but it's really necessary for any children in their development to learn from someone to you know go grow up, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that's good. Thank you for. I mean, look, I don't know that I could step into somebody else's life and raise their kids for them. I don't know how Sean even did it. Like, I'm in awe of that. It takes a really special person.
yeah, indeed, and but I love their mom, and I'm sure your gentleman loves you, and when you do that, you can get through anything. You really can.
Uh,
um,
I guess.
I try not to keep my guests for 30 minutes, so I've got 10 minutes left. I've got two questions, but I really wanted to get into one. This comic book. I mean, you're speaking my language here. This is freaking awesome. Let's talk about something happy. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
So it's Pounds of Power. Like, how did this come to be? Because the art looks. I mean, this looks legit. Like, what? How did this come to life?
Oh, I love this book so much. I was so excited last night because I got two sample copies. I've been working on this truly. Okay, I've been working on it for about 5 years. So the thing I told you about August and his memory of his dad, while we were in the thick of this film, I was like, you know what? This child needs positive memories of his dad, even if I have to like create them. And at the time, when I didn't know it was going to take this long to finish Come What May. I thought it was going to take me like another year or two. So I was like, I need something to give him. And so having a superhero that was sort of like his dad, what a great like falsified memory to create for him, or just something for him to take pride in, right? So that was what I wanted to do with the comic book in conjunction with the film. How the comic book concept came to be was when I first met Ralphie early on, he did a couple of commercials. You can find them on his YouTube channel. They're very old, like, but he did these like it was like a comic book company where he had a suit and everything. It was very funny. And when he got done with the commercials, he had the suit. He could keep it because nobody was going to wear that suit. I wish I still had it. But anyways, he said to me, he goes, I'd like to actually play a fat superhero. And I thought, that's a great idea, And then I said, we talked about it. It was literally like maybe 5 minutes, if that, conversation. And he said, we talked about what the superhero name would be. And it's Superman,
It's
which is
awesome.
hilarious.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I looked at him and go, how does he get his power? And Ralphie, I think he was probably a little high, but he just looked at me and goes, he has an accident with a microwavable burrito.
Oh my gosh.
And I started laughing so hard. So I left that conversation and wrote The Making of Superman, like a whole book basically of how he became, like how this guy becomes this hero.
Yeah.
And it sat on my hard drive for 20 years. We tried to get it to a couple people and maybe we can make something with this. And nothing really came of it. And then I met this guy, Justin. He's a Nashville guy who had a friend, Andrea, who is a comic book guy and an editor and a genius. If anybody wants to come up to create a piece of content like this, or really just needs a great editor, DM me and I will give you Andrea's information. The guy, he's just, I can't say enough good things about this guy. But anyways, the first phone call I have with him, he says, you don't ever plan to make any money and you do this because you love it and you want to do it. And the good things will come out of it, but just don't plan to. And I was like, okay, I want to do it. So he gave me the step by steps over the last many years and got it across the finish line. I had to write 3 additional books for a story arc of 4. So the first book comes out this month, and then it's May, June, July. April, May, June, July. So 4 books will be done out by July. I got a distributor, and I'm going to have them at all of the screenings. And
Awesome.
I'm going to give a few away to lucky people who could win one, and then also have them for sale, and I'll sign them and all that.
Cool. You get
So
this through your website. How do you get these comic books?
there is a link on my website. But I set up a dedicated site for it's called poundsofpower.com, and on there you can buy the foil editions. So the way it works is that as the artist, I get like a special. when I say artist, I created the books. I came up with the books, but Hugo is the artist that drew the lines. I had a colorist, I had a letterist. So I hired very qualified people to do the actual physical artwork. Even though I have an art degree, I could never do what Hugo did. But anyways, yeah, so you can get them, you can pre-order them now on the website, or you can wait till like, I come to a city near you. Or the third option is it will get distributed to a bunch of different stores through Antarctic Press, which is the company that is distributing it, and but it won't be the foil edition. It'll be a regular
Yeah, like
book.
my favorite. Yeah. Well, what you basically described, and if you go into other interviews, you're the Stan Lee behind it. See, Stan Lee created Spider-Man and the Hulk, but he told he told the guys like Jack King Kirby, hey, this guy needs to be huge, mean, and green. Okay, no problem. So you're Stan Lee. That's what you just
I'm
described.
Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I am. I'll be Stan Lee. That's awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so, and I saw you brought out his classic jacket, that orange jacket. Are you taking it with you as well for people to see?
Yes. Yes. So that's been so when Rafi and I made our wills, we talked about what we wanted to be done with our remains. And he told me that he wanted to go back out on tour and he wanted me to scatter his ashes at comedy clubs all across the country. And I was like, dude, you'll end up in the nachos. Like you're in the queso. And then I laughed because I was like, well, you kind of belong there, you know? But I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's gross. But the idea was always the seed was planted. And so as I finished this film and I started thinking about distribution for it, I found it a little bit daunting to like start. I guess after the last one, 19 months of trying to pitch that film it was hard to bear, like going through that process. And I worked so hard on this film and I was like, I just thought, I don't want to spend the next 6 months making calls to people and hearing rejections or possible whatever. I want to just take this directly to the fans. I want to honor Ralphie's wishes and take him on the road. So I started booking the tour, hired a booking agent for it, and the jacket to me symbolizes him going out on the road and shaking hands and taking pictures with people after the show. And and so it I've only posted 2 videos with the jacket so far. One was unboxing it and the other was a couple of comedians trying it on. Hundreds of thousands of views,
Yeah.
like instantly. People are very excited to see the jacket. And so
I was like, that is amazing. I love that you decided to do that. That's just incredible.
yeah, I hope it's well received. It seems like it will be. And I don't, yeah, so I depending on, as long as the jacket can hold the abuse, which is really sturdy, people can put it on and take a picture in it. And
I'm
yeah,
definitely going to hold you to that when it comes to Nashville.
cool.
Anyway, Lahna Turner, thank you so much. You're sweet as always, and we'll have to do a show if you're ever here in Alabama again, out in Huntsville. Um,
That's right. That's right. You told me you're not in Nash right now.
the wife of
I don't
I'm sorry. Well,
know.
we
What?
relocated. California took
Yeah,
over Middle Tennessee, so we're more hillbillies. We had to come back out to the woods. So
it's true. A lot of people moved. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I have a lot of different locations like on the wish list.
mhm.
It's obviously time consuming and
Sure.
expensive to go on all these like but I would love to come there if I can make it there I will.
We're close
And
to Nashville. So we got 1 minute left. Tell them where they can find the information on the movie and everything, and websites and whatnot.
sure.
Yeah,
Sure thing. You can go to comewhatmayfilm.com for the movie. You can go to poundsofpower.com for the comic book. You can also find everything on my website, lahnaturner.com, which is spelled with an H, LAHNATURNER. I also am on social media on Instagram, Facebook, all the main ones. And you can catch videos and updates through that. And also we're keeping Rafi's pages updated with information as well. So you can find out pretty much everything just by searching it out.
fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's always appreciated here. And the new Stan Lee, you have a great rest of your day. Everything. And when I get this edited and everything, I'll send it your way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was really nice to talk to you.
You too. Think about crocheting because once I tell Annie, she's going to reach out about it. So
Oh, yeah, I would just tell her like whatever she's doing, whatever she feels like doing is awesome.
we'll do.
Yeah. Like not and don't I don't want her to work too hard. She needs her hands for all the stuff she's doing with them.
Yeah. Well, like I said, she's trained and she's got them where they need to be. But anyway, I'll let her know, and you take care, and we'll talk again soon. Okay.
Will I see you in Nash? Will I
I'm
see you
gonna
at the
try my
screening?
best to be there. I'm gonna try to get off work, but I would say 85% chance.
Okay, good, good, because I'll have the jacket warmed up for you.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.